Hello, my friends, dear folks, and by the way, good morning, camera. So, well, let's start. Jack Chow on East West with GNE TV. Lately we noticed quite a bit that our gasoline price kind of fluctuates, dances too much. And as per last night, my last tank cost me $85 or something, 56 or 57 cents for a tank for a gasoline per gallon at a price for 449 something 99, right? And it was a week ago, it was a dollar less, 349. And then prior to the week to that, and it was 410 something. So how come it goes up and down like this? Once again, to get to the point, I need to talk to a professional. The professional joining me is my good friend, Mr. Drexel Smith, and I believe he is an expert of energy. And not only say that, because there is a big program, energy program between China and the United States. My friend, Mr. Drexel Smith, is the senior consultant. So I believe he is capable of answering my questions. Welcome to the show, Drexel.
It's good to be with you.
All right, same here. So what's happening?
What's happening? We're paying a lot for gasoline.
Yes, we are. So that's why.
Okay.
Yeah, sure. That's the name of the game, right? So.
Part of the problem, Jack, is that you drive this big luxury car.
No. It doesn't matter.
No, I'm joking. I'm joking.
Yeah, sure.
Actually, Jack, I was on your show not long ago, and I shared with you, it was my view that oil would be relatively stable for the next 90 days.
You mean crude?
Yeah, I was referring to oil, not gasoline.
Not gasoline, yeah.
Okay. I did not predict, and I don't recall making comments about gasoline, other than I'd like to restate oil is one topic, and the oil gets pumped, put in a container, transported and shipped, sent to a refinery.
To a refinery, yes.
Where the refinery makes its products. A barrel of oil is about 42 U.S. gallons. Out of that 42 gallons, about 19 gallons can be made into gasoline. Somewhere between 19 and 21. So
I see.
About half the oil in a barrel can be gasoline.
All right. That means the price has to be double at least per barrel of oil. Per barrel of.
Yes, and remember, the people that pump the oil make a buck. The people that box it and ship it and transport the oil make a buck.
I see.
It goes to the refinery. They have a process that costs money.
All right.
And they get to make a buck. Then it goes to the distribution system.
Okay.
Okay?
Make a buck.
Distribution system where you and I go to the retailer to pump our gas.
Okay.
So what we have right now today is my prophecy from the last show.
Prophecy Smith.
On
Prophet
this,
Smith, yeah.
No, it's far too much guessing.
All right.
But my comments then were oil would be relatively stable for the foreseeable future.
All right.
Unless there was a major incident in the world. Now, what's happening to the gasoline prices, and here is the headline from yesterday's newspaper showing prices of $5.50 in Southern California, is a very local Southern California issue. This same issue does not exist
Uh-huh.
throughout California,
I see.
and this same issue does not exist in other places in the United States. It is a California-specific problem.
Local issue.
Yep, it's a very localized issue for reasons I'll get in touch with. But let me finish my comments
Okay,
about
sure.
oil, okay, on the topic of oil. Also, in yesterday's headlines, and this happens to be the Wall Street Journal, was a very good article about what's happening with oil and the fact that because oil is now under $60 a barrel, it's running somewhere in the 57 to 59. It's still flirting with 60. I've shared with you and your audience before. In many respects, that's not enough money for the oil companies to continue exploration and pumping. So that sets the stage for future oil price increases. And what this article yesterday is all about is many companies are stopping their oil wells. Many companies have stopped exploration. And what their prediction is in this article is we will see an increase in the price of oil in the future. So again, let me separate.
When you say future, you say the 90-day range or
Yeah,
beyond?
I'm saying beyond. I'm
Beyond,
I'm
okay.
going to stick with my last prophecy
Okay, sure.
that for the next 90 days, I say oil is going to be relatively stable. It's going to porpoise a little bit,
All right.
but within a, I'm going to really jump out that I don't like to do, as you know, and guess, but I'm going to guess in a 10% window. So
Okay.
plus or minus $6 a barrel is not going to have a tremendous impact on you and me at the pump. It's going to be relatively stable. But that has nothing to do with the issues that you and I are
that
suffering.
is for oil.
Oil.
Yeah, all right.
Okay? That's oil, worldwide market. And of course, we all desire the sweet crude
Okay.
because the sweet crude has less sulfur and it's less expensive to refine and manufacture into the products that we would like to have.
I see.
So I wanted to separate the topics of oil from retail gasoline
Gasoline
price.
price, yeah. That's
Okay.
where I get confused. Yeah.
Yes, and I want to be clear about that because I don't like to misread and mislead you or your audience.
I see.
I'm going to give you, Jack, a piece that I've copied that speaks about oil and gasoline in California. And this speaks to oil, and in the last few years, the majority of the oil, 55% of the oil, comes from Alaska and California. 45% of the oil that we use comes from Saudi Arabia, Ecuador, and Iraq.
Okay.
Okay?
All right.
But more than half of the oil
It's domestic.
is U.S. domestic.
Domestic.
Okay?
55%. 55%.
55%. Exactly.
Okay.
And the transportation of most of the domestic oil is through pipelines. Now that's significant, and I want you to remember that because when we talk about the gasoline price, one of the problems is we had a major pipeline failure. So the oil pipeline to the refinery was shut down. Then the overseas oil, it comes to us by tanker ship.
Shut down purposely or shut down by accident or something?
Accident, leak,
Leak.
okay? So again, when we talk about refining the oil, I said about 50%. Depends on the exact blend that they're making, but somewhere around 50%. Some say
What
49,
if
some
I
say
say that
51.
we'll take a break and we'll come back to continue, shall we please?
We can take a break anytime you wish.
Okay, very good. My dear audience, today we're talking about our gasoline price, which according to my good friend, Mr. Drexel Smith, an expert in energy, is related to some kind of the relation between crude oil and transportation and whatever, even the pipeline transportation, so on and so forth. And well, I don't think so far the question is answered. So that's why we decided to continue after this short break. So stay with us, please. Hello, dear folks. Welcome back to the discussion about our gasoline price related to oil, of course. Well, with my friend, Mr. Drexel Smith, and an energy expert, we are sharing the information from these homework to answer the question that we raised. So how come we see that much fluctuation as we have witnessed for the past few weeks in our gasoline price at the pumps? So, to the point though, we were talking about the 55% of the oil supplied for refineries being domestic, namely Alaskan oil and Californian oil, right?
That's for the Southern California market, right?
Southern
Right.
California supply,
Right.
And where are the refineries?
We have refineries here in Southern California, in the San Pedro, Wilmington area. And of course, we get a lot of gasoline supplies also from Northern California, from Standard Oil. But I think it may be informative for your audience to, Jack, just sort of have a perspective. When you think about a barrel of oil, okay, about half goes to gasoline. About 12% or a quarter goes to jet fuel.
Okay, jet fuel, okay,
About 15% goes to diesel.
all right.
So half to gasoline and the happy motorists, about 15% diesel for the trucks,
Okay,
about 12% jet fuel. So 75% of that barrel goes to fuels for
Fuels.
transportation. The remaining 25% goes to a host of other uses, from oils to lubricants to asphalt,
plastics,
etc.
Yeah.
So it's really sort of important. And what happens in the refinery is the breaking down of the oil process dictates where that product is going to go. And here in California, especially Southern California, where we have major air quality issues, they are required to make what we call a summer blend. Okay?
Summer blend, yes.
The summer
Last time we talked about it. yes.
Exactly. And what that summer blend does is it lowers the pressure vapor of the gas that makes it the ozone not as impacted. So here in Southern California, from April through October, we have the longest period of
6
anybody
months, yes.
for the summer blend. And that always increases the price. You can look for the past 10 years and see the price of gasoline that we pay retail take a constant bump during those 5 months. Okay? It's constant. But what I'd like to do, Jack, is to present you with a copy of this information from the state of California that walk you through the refining process and what happens. Now, focusing on gasoline all by itself, what we pay at the pump okay? Typically, 50% goes for the crude oil.
Okay, they got half of the money.
Yeah, and that was when in May, this chart was based in May, not long ago, about 6 weeks ago, when the average price per gallon was $2.72.
Yeah.
272. Based on 272 in May, 51% went to the crude oil. 22% went to the refiners. 10% went to distribution of the gasoline
Okay.
to the retailer. 17% went to taxes.
Okay.
Okay? Local, federal, state tax.
Tax, yeah.
That's a big number. 17% of every gallon you pump is going to taxes that in theory would help pay the roads. So when you see a major price increase, we need to look at where that came from. And in the past 4 weeks, in the past 2 weeks especially, the big jump was in the refining.
All right. Okay.
Okay?
Uh-huh.
And what's happened is a number of issues. Okay?
Uh-huh.
Are we making sense so far?
Yeah, so far, exactly. You seem to be taking the words out of my mouth. I was exactly wondering that the pattern, the 55% or 45%, or the relationship between the crude oil and pump gasolines, or the channels that has to go through from point of A to point of B, all either and everybody of each makes a buck, something. That is the pattern that we understand. However, not created during the past few weeks. Right? How come? The question is. So that's why I say you exactly took the word out of my mouth. Is that how come during the past few weeks we see the surge, we see the fluctuation, surging up, dropping down, whatever, from 277 to 79 to all the way
Almost $5.
almost $5, and then in between you see 349, 359, so on and so forth, like that. So what's happening? There must be something happening in between point A to point B,
Yep.
right?
And
To break it.
Yep. And my point to you right now, again to make the point,
Yeah.
the price of crude oil has been relatively stable.
Relatively stable, yes. I
So
understand.
that piece is stable. Okay?
Okay.
The taxes have been stable. They haven't changed. What has changed dramatically is at the refineries that have created a major supply issue.
All right, now.
Okay.
Now, okay. So 25% goes to refinery.
That's right.
Now, so what happened, the catastrophic part being within the 25%?
Yes.
Okay.
That's
so
where
what's
the
happening-
problem is.
What's happening there?
The problem is that we have local refineries. The Exxon Mobil refinery in Torrance has remained offline since the explosion they had in February. The Tesoro refinery in Carson has been offline because of maintenance. The refinery at Standard Oil outside of San Francisco, which is a major refinery, has also been down with maintenance. So,
Maintenance.
yes, maintenance and repairs.
Okay.
Now, you combine the fact that these multiple facilities have a problem. We had a recent line break that shut down the importing oil going to the refineries, and the outside salespeople are saying, because the refineries are not working in California, we're going to take our crude oil somewhere else. and have created, I don't like to use this word, but an artificial shortfall, because the world has not
of a crude supply.
of crude supply coming in. So we have this artificial, the people are saying, well, the refineries don't want more crude because they're not working. I'm going to take it to Mississippi or other places for
I
refineries.
see.
What's been created over the past month is an artificial lack of crude between the pipeline shutdown and the crude coming
And
in,
the scheduled maintenance. To some
scheduled
major
maintenance,
refineries.
and the
The Exxon explosion.
exactly
That was last of February.
February.
Right.
All of this comes together with saying we don't have enough supply.
All the three together.
Add up to
That
a perfect
happens.
storm. So the supply is gone. We have less supply of summer blend gasoline today than we've had in years. So the retailers can't get the product. So what
see.
happens? The price goes up.
Rock it up.
But it's all locally California created by the combination of the summer blend. So we can't bring oil in from Mississippi. Gasoline that's refined.
So you have to go with your own prescription of the summer blend.
Yep.
Right? So, okay.
So the problem is in Southern California, we're required a unique blend that generally speaking only California refiners make. We got a refinery problem, and because the refiners aren't doing as much, the crude oil is being taken to other places, and we have the loss of this pipeline. You make a combination of all of these factors, and there's one more. Summertime driving, the demand goes up.
Yeah.
So the demand is going up. The supply of crude has been truncated because the refineries aren't popping it. So what happens? There's not enough summer blend. So the price at the retail level just goes up.
It looks like a problem from both ends.
Oh, it's
On one end, we see a shortfall, artificial, whatever, of crude supply, right?
yes,
On the other, we have a shutdown or maintenance problems at refineries.
yes,
And the third arm would be possibly the summer driving demand surge
yes,
altogether.
yes,
And all this happens under the same environment when the crude price remains relatively
yeah. The worldwide crude price, as a
like
matter of fact,
stable.
it's
Like you
it's
mentioned,
even
it would be
down.
like
It's
you-
even down a little bit from the last time we visited.
I see. Like you mentioned, within 10% of a reasonable kind of like shaking, right? Right. So now we're talking about $55, $58 per barrel, right? So, all right. Seems that you are answering the question bit by bit. You're very logic. I would say. My dear audience, we're touching some very logic answers. Call it explanation, more than answers, I call it, from my professor, Mr. Drexel Smith. Looks like I am going back to class and to learn. Anyway, and this is also the purpose of this show, though. Whenever chances allow, we always bring opportunities of learning from people who know better than we do in certain field, right? So, Mr. Drexel Smith and the expert of energy, today sharing his thoughts with us about our gasoline price, which is the point we raise the question, which leads us to go all the way back to well diggings. Okay, right. So let's take a short moment now, and when we come back, we'll try to look into somewhere 90 days or 180 days, all the way till what? Till the end of the year, how we shall look at our pump and how much price it will be paying. Still $85 per tank? I don't know. So let's be back. right, dear audiences, welcome back to the discussion about our oil, our gasoline price, our pump, our everything that is related to our dollars in our pocket. We have only limited dollars, and yet the prices we're facing kind of are dancing too much. Well, why? That's the question. And yet, it is a rule for this show. Every time we have a crying baby, we bring the crying baby to the expert, the mother, to see if the mother can feed him or her or whoever, right? The mother this time being Mr. Drexel Smith. He is an expert of energy. He tries layer by layer to peel the onion to get to the core. It looks that he is a very, like I said, very logic, very systematic, and we start to see something. We understand it. Let me sum it up, Mr. Smith, if I understand you right. You heard me? Yeah. The oil price remains somehow, somewhere stable within 10% of whatever, shaking up and down a little bit, which is reasonable, right? And that supply being 50% of domestic, 55% of domestic, being Alaskan oils and Californian oils, and 45% being imported.
Yes.
Right? So now that we are into the summer, and we have fine refineries facing explosions such as Exxon, and we have refineries facing their scheduled maintenance, call it whatever maintenance. So the refinery ability kind of down a little bit. Right? In the meantime, when the supply of oil brings to it, it cannot get turned into cash fast enough. So they move elsewhere, say, let's go to Mexico, let's go to Mississippi instead, rather than staying in Southern California.
Right.
So that creates some kind of artificial shortage of supply on one hand. On the other, the refinery abilities cutting down a little bit. And thirdly, we're surging. We're into the summer, whereby we ask for the summer blend as number one. We have the summer demand increasing. So all these factors together, you shuffle them, whichever, cause the problem.
Created the bubble.
All right, good bubble. This, once again, the same question. Exactly the same as the pattern of between crude A, point A to point B being the pump. It's not a pattern that is created 2 weeks, 3 weeks ago. It is norm anyway. How come we see the fluctuation? This is question number one where I raised, right? Question number two, though, each summer we probably go into the same situation, right? There's nothing so outstanding. How come this summer, especially at the turn between spring and summer, we see this much of jumping? Is there anything else that in particular that looks different than the regular years?
I don't think so. All of the reports that I take a look at refer to this as being the quote perfect storm. To be specific, Jack, the oil pipeline leak that I referred to impacted the Phillips 66 refinery in Santa Maria, which supplies, on a good day, 45,000 barrels of oil a day.
Say it again, please.
The pipeline that was reduced and at one point shut down for repairs provides that one refinery 45,000 barrels of oil a day. Okay?
Okay.
Combined with the Chevron El Segundo facility that went down in May for a planned outage that they were required to do before they could shift to the summer blend, is a 290,000 barrel a day facility. So these are big numbers. These are big refineries.
6-7 times, yes.
Yeah, you know. So my point to you is there some sinister plot?
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm looking into.
Where the boys in the suits get together and say, summer more driving, summer blend.
Let's do it.
Let's get an extra buck a gallon.
Yeah, sure.
I don't I don't see that.
You don't see that?
I see, is there some profit taking? Of course. But I don't think the profit is in dollars. I think it's in dimes, the additional profit. At least that's the information that I'm looking at. And I think it does create the storm that we just talked about. And let me address who are the people that we're talking about.
Yeah.
In California,
Who are the boys or girls?
Yeah,
whatever,
yeah,
in
yeah,
suits, right?
in California, the gasoline retailers, the market people that you and I buy from, 30% of the market share belongs to Tesoro. 20% of the market share belongs to Chevron. 12% to Phillips 66 Conoco, and 10% to Valero, 8% to Shell, 6% only to ExxonMobil, and only 5% to ARCO.
76.
So those big boys, Tesoro, Chevron, Phillips, Valero, Shell, ExxonMobil, and ARCO,
In Arco, yeah.
represent 93% of the retail market in Southern California. So if you really want to be an investigative person, go look at their profit statements and see if there's something abnormal.
I see.
I would argue that these are big international companies, and if there was really something sinister going on, you would see it in the gas prices around the United States. This chart is the US EPA talking about gas prices throughout the United States. It will be clear to you in looking at this data.
If something cynical happens in that area, where my suspicion is.
Yeah, it's a Southern California abnormality. Okay? If these big international companies were making extra of something sinister, they wouldn't pick on Southern California. They would let it rise, and you would see all these numbers on the
overall.
rise. Yeah.
I see.
And in fact, the majority of the country is down. You know, the majority of the country is still paying $2.60, $2.70 a gallon. So could it be? Maybe. I'm not sitting in the boardroom of the company, but it doesn't appear that way from the data that we look at.
I see. All right. So to ask the same question with a different angle, though, looking into the summer, into first 90-day range time shot, how much are we looking at? I'm not exactly asking about the dollar amount. I'm seeing the increase. Still more? Is there a potential of increase, or shall remain as high as it is now? Or is there a chance of going down a bit?
The trade press that talks about oil and gas has been talking a lot about this issue in Southern California. And they are predicting, and I'll just be a repeater, they are predicting that help is on the way to lower the price. They say the refineries that have been down for their repair periods are coming back up. They say the pipeline break has been fixed, so that refinery is now coming back. They claim that one of the refineries that had a big percent of their refinery capability shut down because they don't meet federal pollution standards is going to be allowed to temporarily restart to make the summer blend. And lastly, the press says there are some tankers that have bought refined California summer blend from Singapore that are on the way to help reduce this supply-demand issue.
When you say California
Summer blend, yeah.
from Singapore,
Yes,
is it because they have it made to order by
yes,
us?
yes,
Ah,
Yes.
We place an order with them.
Yes.
They're producing, and it's coming.
Yep.
To set off the unbalance.
That's right.
I see. Sounds good. Any kind of tonnage descriptions about the size coming?
I didn't look that up, but these tankers are enormous. They're thousands of barrels. But my point to you is, and now let's get to the if.
The if.
We need to play if.
Yeah.
If in fact the Standard Oil refinery in Oakland comes back up from their repairs, that's a positive result. If the Santa Maria refinery gets their oil leaks fixed, they're flowing, they're going again, that's a positive.
Or the Exxon explosion fixed.
That repair is just going to take its time, but they're trying to get a portion of their facility back online. I'm hopeful the regulators will allow them to do it. And if it proves to be true that a major supplier has acquired a summer blend load from Singapore,
I see.
all of these factors will contribute to stabilizing and hopefully lowering the retail price.
When is this or shall be happening, please?
As we speak,
As we speak.
I understand the ship from Singapore is due within the next 2 weeks.
I see. In other words, well, anyway, I can't wait until finish this tank. I still have to do another few.
Drive less.
Yeah, drive less.
Jack,
right. Anyway,
sleep in your office.
sleep in my office. Okay, bring
Be
my luggage
dedicated.
and everything. Be dedicated.
Don't
Okay,
drive
now.
anymore.
So, in other words, within next month or two, shall we see some change?
I'm guessing with the pressure that every day there's an article in the press, this is not good news for the retailers. They want to make their customers happy. Yeah, do they like a little extra profit? Yeah, but they would be happy with dimes, not dollars. They know that the consumers are very unhappy because what this pricing does is it drives the consumer out of the market. The consumer stops driving. The consumer goes to public transportation. The consumer goes by fuel-efficient cars.
They go to hybrid.
They,
Yeah.
they make Tesla Motors happy by buying an electric car. They don't want that. They want the big demand for gasoline. And they know that the tipping point has been reached and people are really unhappy.
I see. Has this country been reasonably oversighting on the gasoline price as a system? I know you're talking about totally a free market, right? Yet, even within range, you're still talking about some regulations. For example, or within certain time, you're allowed to do such and such, not etc. Is this country doing this oversighting job on this industry?
Are they doing a proper oversight? I guess my answer is yes.
The country does.
I think so.
I see. All right. Okay, let's find out. Dear audience, today with me is my good friend, Mr. Jackson Smith, energy expert. And, well, we're talking about his sharing his thoughts on our gasoline price. So, as a matter of fact, he obviously answered my question. Not only answered, explained about his answers one by one, step by step. So far, I believe we see a clearer picture, much clearer picture than we started. So let's take a short moment now. When we come back, we'll find out what exactly are in store for us this coming summer. So stay with us. Hello, dear folks. Welcome back to the discussion about our gasoline price with my good friend, Mr. Drexel Smith, an expert in energy. And he really, well, so you keep watching, you would have to agree with me, an expert on this gasoline thing, on this oil thing, the big issue. Mr. Drexel Smith, being a senior consultant of energy program, huge between China and the United States, has been sharing his thoughts to lots of important people, key players. Now, the other key player, I'm not playing. I'm just concerned about this question. I'm a concerned consumer about this gasoline price. The reason being that lately we noticed about the fluctuations, so much going up and down, going up and down, that we have to ask questions, right? So now, speaking of this summer, I believe you answered my question like 50%. The other 50%, in addition to the Singapore, California summer blend that is coming, supposed to come as we speak, though, anything else we have done or have adopted to give incentives to the refineries? Hey, guys, come back to work. Don't take too long on your maintenance, scheduled maintenance, quote unquote.
Well, at some point, Jack, the summer blend creates an impact that's unique to Southern California. I would make the argument that it should be a discussion between the regulators of when we have this sort of a crisis, what is the best public interest? To continue to pay high prices and have clean air, or to relieve some of the regulatory pressures, lower the price. I'm going to say I was born and raised in Los Angeles, and I remember the 20 years that we couldn't see the mountains because of bad air quality.
Yeah, you're right.
And I argue that it's important that we maintain good air quality.
Even you recall like 30-something years to the time when I came to this country first, when you were driving from East End on I-10 towards downtown Los Angeles, you couldn't see the buildings.
Yes.
Now you can. Yeah. Clear sky, blue sky.
Many days,
right? So that's very obvious. Very, very noticeable.
So, Jack, I think when you have this discussion of regulatory creates higher pricing, now you need to say, compared to what? In our worst day, we pay a fraction of the price for gas in most other countries. Not in the oil-producing countries. I mean, Venezuela almost gives away their gas, but throughout Europe, throughout most of Asia, gas is sold by the liter. It is many times higher than what we enjoy.
Are you sure you're not paid to say this?
I'm not paid.
You're not paid.
I'm not paid.
You sound like you're a paid guy.
No.
To speak for them.
No. I'm just saying, as you know, I have traveled and was in Europe not long ago. I was amazed at the cost of petrol. So I'm very, very sympathetic to the working men and women that are now giving a big percent of their pocketbook, 50% more than 3 weeks ago, to buy gas to get to work. I am very sympathetic to that concern. But I also realize, and I'm going to say it again repeatedly, we just need to have technology get us away from this issue of burning gas anyway.
That I believe has been a call ever since we started, you and I doing shows, like 2 years ago. Every time at the end of the show, you always call for us to get rid of fossil oil, fossil gasoline, fossil energy,
Yep.
as to get to the root of the problem, right? So it looks that the problem being like the way we discuss is always there, it's always like that, it's always something you cannot live without,
Yep.
right?
And admittedly, I drive a gasoline car. I don't drive a hybrid or an electric. I am a gas user,
Okay.
and I, like you, pay the price.
70% is really a high price. I mean, tax only, right?
Oh, yeah.
So out of $4.50, you're talking about $1, almost $1,
Yeah.
something like that, right?
And and if I can be cynical, I'm paying all this money in taxes to keep the roads fixed. Why are we having so many potholes? Which is a whole nother topic
You're
of,
right, you're
of
right,
why
you're
we're
right.
not maintaining the infrastructure.
Yeah, that's exactly what we talked about last time when I had this interview with Senator Bob Huff.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, he mentioned about his programs about transportation money being earmarked has to be spent to transportation, allowing no borrowing, especially borrowing of no returns.
Yep.
So it's like some kind of thing, right? That's also one way to reduce our cost. And also in the same show, he mentioned instead of on the average of paying 85% because of the road conditions, as average of the across nation, we pay $365 per driver. So that's quite a substantial money,
Yep.
right? So now, so in your research area though, which one do you think would be the next immediate source of energy to replace the fossil energy?
Well, I think
There are
we're,
many of them,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
What
yeah,
is
yeah.
the nearest?
I think for transportation. Is that your question?
No.
Energy
Now-
for transportation?
No. We're talking about the whole thing as a concept. Right now, we have this fossil energy,
Yeah.
right? Which we're suffering from a big headache of it. And now, we have solar, we have wind, we have tide, we have all the other kind, even from corns, right? From agricultural ways. So, which is the way that would come most immediate to replace or towards replacing of the fossil energy?
Yeah. You mentioned solar and wind. Those technologies are primarily oriented to making electricity. The largest fuel source for electricity in our country still remains coal. Okay? A second major is natural gas.
Natural gas, yeah. I forgot
Okay.
to mention natural gas,
All right.
yes.
So my question to you was specific because I think you need to question energy for making electricity, which has a variety of uses, from industry to commercial use to personal use to transportation, versus heating. Remember, in California, we don't have that big of a problem, but in the majority of the U.S., as in most around the world,
Yeah.
energy for heating is a big deal. Okay?
All right.
So I want to bite this in pieces. It's my view, staying with transportation, the next wave that's coming is really going to be about electric cars. I think there is a tremendous effort. The technology is here. What we need to do now is to enhance the energy storage that we call battery to get beyond 200 miles. You know, most demand is in the 3 to 400 mile range.
I checked
Okay.
with some of the battery car drivers. They say The range is about 45 miles per day, and then you have to do the charge. For
Well-
that, you have to charge almost daily.
The Tesla Motors is up to 300.
All right, okay, to 45, between 45 to 300. That's quite a difference.
Well, it is quite a difference.
Yeah.
And I think we need to get into the higher range for it to be appealing to a broader range of people. Now, to me, as I see it, 10 years ago, I would have argued passionately that the next big wave was hydrogen. Hydrogen didn't mature as a technology because it's harder. It's harder from an infrastructure standpoint because hydrogen is hard to manage. The reason we keep defaulting to gasoline is because in a relatively small container, that's hidden under the car, that holds 15 to 20 gallons, you can go 250 to 500 miles.
Yeah, you're right.
It is very efficient. It's easy.
So
It's
efficient.
easy.
So convenient, right?
So
Okay.
convenient.
And so
You put it
polluting.
in, you drive.
Okay, right.
Okay? The electricity is harder. But I think there's so much push in technological development on energy storage and advanced batteries. I see the next wave going there.
Okay,
Electric.
very good. So, my dear audience, today we're talking about our gasoline price. So, for that, I believe that I learned a lot. At least I get a clearer picture, overall picture, when compared to as I started. So, we now see how problem is created one after another. So, my appreciation goes to Mr. Drexel Smith, and an expert on gasoline or energy. And my dear audiences, thank you for watching the show. We'll do more because the summer will be, they say, will be even hotter this summer, right? So we'll see you next time. Thank you very much.